Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna give you a haul of all the books I've read this year. This year was a big year for me in the reading department because I started reading. So I have never liked reading, never been a reader, never thought to pick up a book. Like I didn't like it. And then I did. And that is thanks to these 18 books sitting next to me. 18, I know isn't a lot, but for me it was good. I think I'm gonna up my goal next year to like 30 to 50. But let's start. We're gonna go on my reading journey through the year. I'm referencing my Goodreads, by the way. It all started in February when I saw a TikTok about this book series. And I was like, oh, I think I would like that. Like that sounds like something I would like maybe. I wanted to give it a shot. I wanted to give it a try. And so the first book slash like 3 books I read, because it's a series, is the Selection series. This has to be one of my favorite series or trilogies. I know there's two more, but I love them. I don't know, I know this was made for like 6th graders, but I love them and I don't care. These books got me into reading. To start with the Selection,
BTW.
Spoilers. I'll put timestamps in the caption. The Selection. This book, I read this, I think I have always been a slow reader, but I think I read this in like 4 or 5 days, and I was like blown away at how fast I could read. I can read a lot faster now, but I was like freaking out because I read this so fast, and it just sucked me right in. And this one, this is my 2nd favorite book in the trilogy, I think, but it just, Maxa. That's crazy. Did you see that? America and Maxon are my favorite book couple, fiction couple ever. I want to go to the Selection. I want to be chosen. Marry me, Maxon. Thank you. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I really liked the like fantasy slash dystopian. This one just kind of sets it up. It's like the original, the classic, whatever. Love it. The next one's The Elite. I didn't like this one as much just because there was a lot of Aspen. And Aspen didn't like necessarily do anything bad, but I just didn't like him. I gave this one 4 out of 5. It was a little bit slower. You know, it had to carry the plot. America and Maxon were fighting every 2 seconds, but it still was a good one, and I did love it. Which brings me to the one. This is my favorite book out of the 3. 10 out of 5 stars. This is crazy. A lot of stuff happens. America and Maxon is adorable, so cute. It literally, like, not many books I've realized. Out of the 18 I've read, not many of them have made me like audibly like giggle or like freak out or scream, but these ones did. Even though they're not like the most well written for like older audiences, these ones made me giggle and kick my feet and scream. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like, I loved it. I loved it. And then March, April, and May happened. I did a musical during that time. I was graduating high school during that time, getting ready for college. It was just a really, really, really busy point in my life. So I actually didn't read those 3 months until June rolled around. It was summer, so you know, I had time, whatever. And I saw an ad for the Summer I Turned Pretty series that was supposed to come out, and so I was like, oh, I'll buy the book and read it really quick. So I bought the book. I gave this book about a 4 out of 5. I have to say, even with reading the book first, I do like the show better. I feel like with the book, I couldn't really imagine Conrad and Jeremiah and Belly. Like if you asked me if you were like who did you envision as Conrad in the book, I'd have been like, Air. Like I didn't have any specific person I like. I don't know, I couldn't really envision the book. I have not read the other 2. I probably will. If the 2nd season's coming out, I'll probably read the 2nd book. It was still a really good book. Okay, I'm about to go on a spree. And I know some people either love or hate this author. You have to know she was popular at the time. Everyone was loving her. Colleen Hoover. Of course, I had to start with It Ends With Us. A lot of people, I mean, everyone raved about it. It's being turned into a movie. This is one of my least favorite books by her. I gave it a 4 out of 5, but I think I'm even gonna put it at 3 out of 5 because it just like, I mean, they wanted us to like Ryle so bad even after he pushed her down the stairs and like beat her, like her dad. Like the daddy issues she had.
Why
did they put that on her? And even Atlas, like we barely gotten even a smidgen of him. So like everyone was like, I love Atlas, I love Atlas. I'm like, I don't even know who he is. We barely met him. And I hated the Elle chapters or whatever, the diaries. Garbage. Like I had to like struggle to get through it. But obviously I liked it enough because then I went on a spree of her books. The next one I read was November 9. And this is a really good one. I think this one's in my top 5 from her. I rated this 5 out of 5. Some people love this, some people hate this. I really like it. It's a story about Ben and Fallon, how they meet one day right before Fallon leaves to go to New York, I think. She meets Ben and they like have this instant connection, and then they make this pact to visit each other on November 9th for 5 years with no contact. I like it because in the 5 years, it just skipped from year to year to year to year, and it didn't give us like in between in the years, like the details. Oh, I don't want the details. If I'm reading a romance book, I want the romance. Give me it now. I don't want the stupid details in between. Thank you. This book did a good job. The third Colleen Hoover book I read was Maybe Someday. This is the old cover. And I read it because I was at my cottage. We're in July now, by the way. And my grandma had it at her cottage. And I was like, oh, you're reading Colleen Hoover? And she was like, oh, it was free at some thing, so I took it. And I was like, can I read it? And she was like, yeah. So then I read it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. I feel like this series isn't talked about enough, or like I haven't seen much about it, but I really did enjoy it. Does it give kind of like Wattpad college love story vibes? Yeah, but I like it. I like Wattpad writing, so. It has to do with music. Obviously, you can see the music sheets on the cover. And I love music. It's a chunkier read. I think I read this in a day. The next book I read was Ugly Love. This is a shorter read. I gave this 4 out of 5. It was okay. I mean, Miles and Tate, it's brother's best friend, but the brother's best friend is very emotionally unavailable and has trauma. It goes between Tate's perspective in the present and then Miles' perspective in the past. So you like learn about his trauma. But I mean, if he had a therapist, this book wouldn't exist. The next book I read was Without Merit, and this is in my top 3. I think this is my second favorite Colleen Hoover book. I like Colleen Hoover books that aren't romance specific. Like, this is very family rooted. It's about this girl named Merritt, and she's very mentally unstable. She has depression, she has other issues going on, but she doesn't realize it. And so you see everyone else through her perspective. It's just her perspective the whole time. And then it's distorted from reality because she doesn't realize that she has these problems. And so she's just misreading the whole situation. You get her perspective on things, and then you also get the truth revealed at the end. And then it's there's a plot twist like every 3 pages. Like, the beginning's a little bit slow when it's like obviously building up, but like it's weird. I read it in 3 days. And the last book on my Colleen Hoover binge was All Your Perfects.
Garbage.
2 out of 5. I hate Quinn. I hate her. God, I hate her. She's so annoying. Like, I liked her the last chapter or 2. I know she was going through it, but man, like, oops. I could barely get through this book. Like, I kept reading because like, oh, maybe it'll get better. It didn't get better. And I was over it. This book is about Quinn and Graham, and it's a dual POV. It shows present time and how their marriage is falling apart, and then it shows past time to when they met and like their upcoming, and how it used to be good and now their marriage is falling apart, and then it like tells you why and blah, 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 blah. It has to deal with marriage and infertility issues. Man, it just was dragged out. This whole part of the book could have been like 4 chapters, and then you get the ending. But my friend really loved it. So it really is about your own personal taste. You know, who should say a book is good, who should say a book is bad. Don't go off this just by my opinion, but I hated this. Next. This is when I started getting into book talk, and so then I started branching out my horizon. I read Shatter Me next. This is actually the first book I annotated, if you can see. But I really enjoyed it. It was a little slow. It's very interesting, like, again, dystopian fantasy in a superpower type of way. It does have a love triangle again, except the first book doesn't have much Aaron. So I didn't really get a taste for Aaron, but I did enjoy it. I rated it a 4 out of 5 just because it's a little slow. It took me like 2 to 3 days, I think, to finish it, but good enough to where I am right now reading the second one. Speaking of reading the second one, my book toxic trait is starting books and then not finishing them, or like getting a chapter in. And so I have a lot of currently reading books right now. At the end of the video, I'll show you all the currently reading books. It's The next book I read, I got into a queen author, Taylor Jenkins Reid, and Malibu Rising. This book I rated a 4 out of 5 only because it's in third person. I don't particularly like third person. I like being in the main character's mind and hearing their thoughts. The main character is Nina, is it Riva? Something like that. Nina is the oldest child, and her parents are not the best parents. Her dad is a famous singer, and then he leaves, comes back, and leaves, comes back. And her mom died from consuming too much alcohol. And so Nina's kind of had to take care of her siblings her whole entire life. And it kind of goes back and forth between Nina's perspective now in the current day, getting ready to host this party that they host every year that all like the famous celebrities and athletes and whatever come to. And then it also goes in the past and tells you about the parents upcoming and their love story and having the kids and whatever, why they are the way they are. Second half of the book is the party, and it's crazy. It's wild. And I enjoyed it. The second half I like sped through. The next book I read, another new artist, Elle Kennedy, The Deal. 5 out of 5. Is it kind of Wattpad writing? Yes. Did I love it and enjoy it every second of it? Of course. And I think I really liked it because it's what I wish will happen to me. It's about this girl named Hannah Wells, and she is a music major and then rooms with her best friend. Not super popular, she's in class or whatever, and then this popular hockey player named Garrett Graham is like failing a certain class that he's in with her, and then he asks her to help her study, blah, 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 blah. And then they fall in love. And so I think I just wish it was me because I also really like music. I wish that a hockey player would want to date. Good book, read it. Next. After I read The Deal, I remember I went to college. I was depressed. Mental health, all-time low. And so then I reread the Selection series, but then I read Happily Ever After, which is all the novellas. I think it tells her mom's story in the Selection. It tells Aspen's story and Maxon's point of view on some. Celeste? I don't know. There's a bunch of different ones. 5 out of 5. I loved it. If you like the Selection series, you have to read this. The next two I read were the second and third books in the Off-Campus series. The Mistake, which has Logan and Grace. I still love this. It's 5 out of 5, probably right beneath Hannah and Garrett because, you know, Hannah and Garrett's everything. But I still love this, you know, I mean, it gave more depth with Logan's dad and like Logan's past and what he has to deal with. The Off-Campus series is about 4 college boys who live in like an off-campus house. It's Garrett and then Logan and then there's Dean and Tucker. And then the 4 books are each boy's perspective and the love stories that happens. But I did enjoy this one a lot. It had a cute little like movie moment at the end with the radio call. Oh, how cliche, but I loved it. Obviously next to score, again, 5 out of 5. Dean and Allie, right beneath Logan and Grace. I loved it. It was a different perspective because Dean's crazy, filthy rich. And they're just wild. If you're a party animal, here you go. Here you go, read this because whoa. They're all very similar, but with like just different story. Now we're in October. I had a little mini reading slump from those books to this next one. But then I was like, it's October, it's spooky season. Give me a bit of a scare. I don't know, I'd heard this book was like a little creepy. So I was like, I'll just read this and hopefully it'll get me out of myself because everyone loves this book. Verity. And me too, it's my #1 Colleen Hoover book. I really like this book a lot. It's just like, there's a love story, but also creepy, but also it makes you think, it makes you ponder. It's about Lowen and she meets Jeremy Crawford. And Jeremy Crawford is the husband to Lowen's favorite author, Verity. On her way to meet with her agent, she ran into this guy, Jeremy, on the street. There was like, someone got hit and died or something. And then like Jeremy offered to go help clean her up and gave her his shirt and blah, blah, blah. And they like left. And then she like continued on to her meeting and then ended up meeting with Jeremy because someone wanted to meet with her and it ended up being Jeremy. Come to find out, Verity had an accident and this book is wild. I'm thinking about it right now. And Jeremy said that Verity loves Lowen's work and Jeremy thinks that Verity would want Lowen to continue writing her series because she's unable to. But then it's like twisted and it's like, no, that actually it was Jeremy who saw Lowen's work and Verity didn't say anything about her. It's a story about how Verity hates her kids. She wrote like a manuscript or something, but then that was just a writing exercise and in a letter she found later after they killed Verity. It's crazy, like it's wild. I don't even know, it's a great book, read it please. Along with Verity, I got the collector's edition with the new chapter. The new chapter really just, it's like, okay, Verity's innocent, Jeremy's a psycho, and crazy, like he's actually a psychopath. And then the last book I read, which is still in October, is Regretting You. And this is my 3rd favorite Colleen Hoover book. And this is about a family. It's about Morgan and her sister. And when they were younger, they dated these 2 best friends. And her sister and Jonah broke up, but then Morgan and Chris like got married and had a kid named Clara. And then later in life, Jonah and her sister kind of get together again. Everything's fine, everything's dandy, and all of a sudden an accident happens. Morgan gets a call that Chris, her husband, had gotten in an accident. And so she rushes to the hospital and finds Jonah there. And she's like, oh, are you here because of Chris? And he goes, no, I'm here because of your sister. Jenny. Jenny is her sister's name. Jonah's like, I'm here because of Jenny. And she's like, what do you mean Jenny? It was Chris who got in the accident. And he's like, no, it was Jenny. Come to find out, they were in the same car and they died. So they were together when they died. And so now the question is, why were they together? Turns out they were cheating.
Wait a minute.
I forgot like a key component. Jenny and Jonah get back together. I love this book. Jenny and Jonah get back together because she was pregnant with his child. She has the baby. Then she dies in the car with Chris. Whatever. Then obviously Jonah takes care of the baby because he thinks it's his. But then once Morgan and Jonah start like investigating, trying to see why are they together, where were they at, what were they doing. You know, they discovered they were at a hotel and they were cheating. After Jonah finds this out, he's having a hard time. He brings over the baby, I don't know what the baby's name is, and gives it to Morgan to watch. Well, whatever, he's having a hard time. And then she realizes that the baby has Chris's smile and that the baby is Chris's and not Jonah's. And then she tells Jonah, and Jonah freaks out. But then Clara is like mad because Jonah and Morgan start getting closer because obviously they're bonding over this traumatic event. And so Clara thinks her mom is like betraying her father and her aunt by like getting with Jonah, whatever. But Clara doesn't know what's actually happening because her mom just want to tell her to crush her, you know, vision of her father because he was the pitch perfect father. It's wild. Now for my toxic trait, books that I've started and have not yet to finish. I have 7 books that I'm currently reading, even though I haven't read some of them in like months. The book I'm closest to finishing is Unravel Me. I'm like 2/3 the way done, whatever. That's what I'm currently reading, even though I've been in a huge slump. I read nothing in November and December. I think I read 1 chapter of Reminders of Him and my friend wanted to read it, so then I gave it to her and she read it. Just haven't read it yet. The Goal, which is Tucker's story in the off-campus series. I don't like Tucker that much. I'm not like loving her story, but I didn't really have motivation to read it. The Soulmate Equation by Christina. It's decent. I'm not hard, like loving it. Like I got it at the airport on the way to Mexico. The Love Hypotheses. The beginning was real slow for me, but now it was getting better. I think I'm like a third through this maybe, and I just have to finish it. I just haven't finished it. Beach read. I don't feel like it's a lot of details, so I'm just like I'm not here for the details. I'm here for the romance. It's a romance book, so where is it? Because I don't care that your dad cheated and that you live in a cabin or cottage in Michigan. I live in Michigan and I don't care. So, and then also Confess by Colleen, but it's my friend's book, so I'll have to read that one. I go back to college. But those are all the books I read this year. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment down below if you liked any books or what was your favorite book this year. Comment down below. Let me know. I need more recommendations because I want to get back into reading for the next year, obviously. Make sure to like and subscribe. Catch me sometime soon. And bye.